All right, now we are continuing with the Dvar Malchut of the Rebbe. Beautiful, amazing, incredible. The Rebbe is talking about improving on the revelation of God that was at Sinai. Renewing, not just renewing, but adding on new things. This is what we talked about last time. That this is going to be mainly the Moshiach. Moshiach is going to reveal a level of godliness in the world that has never been before. That's what we've learned up to now. Alpiza, according to this, we said, again, this is a speech given by the Rebbe in 1991, right? This week's Torah portion came after Shavuot, just like this year. Alpiza, according to this, Yesh Laver, we can explain another additional novelty in this Shabbat, which comes after Shavuot, after Matan Torah. Gam Lagabi Chachos Sebizman Matan Torah, which is even greater, a novelty, even a greater novelty than there was when the Torah was given. Okay, now we can't stress this enough, that the basis of Judaism is miracles, right? Miracles. First of all, God took us out of Egypt. Big miracle. Then God took us to the desert. God gave us the Torah. Incredible miracle. The Torah is God's will, and it's that we can do right now. A big miracle. God, this is all in addition to the fact that God is creating the world. He's creating us. He's creating time. He's creating us brand new every instant. This is a big miracle. That's what we say, Ein Kelokeinu. There's nothing like our God. And this God reveals to us. Revealed it at Mount Sinai. Says the Rebbe, that's nothing compared to the way God is going to reveal himself in the days of the Mashiach. That's what he says. In order to explain this, let's first of all a little bit of a preface here. Even though that when God gave the Torah, this was a novelty that there's never been anything like it in the history of the world, and there never will be anything like it. We're going to see. We're going to see. But nevertheless, the Kol Shana every single year, Nichlal Gama Chidush B'Torah. Every single year, there's also added on a little bit to this. Kamosha Matan Torah, just like the Matan Torah, when God gave the Torah the first time, Kalulim is included, all of the Torah. Whether the novelties that will be revealed by means of a pupil, nowadays the scholarly Jews, God-fearing Jews that learn the Torah, there's always new things revealed, or there's going to be ultimately a real something new revealed in the Torah by means of the Mashiach. It says a new Torah will come from me. It'll be so great, it's going to be considered to be a new Torah. And again, to stress, the Torah will never be changed. It'll only be added to. There's not one commandment will ever be negated. Shabbat will be Shabbat. Tefillin will be Tefillin. Mezuzah will be Mezuzah. The Jews will be the Jews, the Gentiles will be the Gentiles, but it'll be a totally different appreciation that we're going to have from our point, and also a totally different revelation of godliness. We'll see. Yeshlam, we can say, the more detail, will feel the chidush, this whole idea that there's going to be a new, God wants us to reveal what was hidden at Mount Sinai. God gave the whole Torah to reveal it. There's going to be this novelty of the Torah. This is especially stressed in this coming Shabbat, which is after the giving of the Torah, after the holiday of Shavuot. Whether the novelties that we will reveal in the course of the year, or mainly the novelty which God is going to reveal through the Mashiach, Torah Chadasha Me'ite Teitze, that will be revealed by means of God himself. As a result from this, also there'll be a new world. Shamayim Chadashim ve'eretz Chadasha. It says the heavens and the earth will be new. Since I wait for God all the time that he will come, and I wait for that he will be revealed, and I wait for the Mashiach that he will be revealed. Zmanam kol hashana kula. Therefore, this is every time, not just in the holiday of Shavuot or the Shabbat after Shavuot, but the whole entire year. This is especially in the time we read after Torah. This has to be stressed, I think, also another thing. The idea of the Mashiach. Now, Mashiach, right, there's a lot of controversy about this Mashiach. But the Rambam, Maimonides, he ends all the controversy. If people just learn the laws of the Rambam, maybe we'll have to make a special class now. It won't take so long. The simple laws, right in the end of the Rambam's massive 14-volume book, which covers all the laws of the Torah, right in the end, he talks about Mashiach and what are the specifications and the qualifications in order to be Mashiach, and what Mashiach is going to do and what we have to do, with Mashiach and for Mashiach, and how the changes Mashiach is going to bring into the world. But one of the things that Rambam says is that everyone has to believe, every Jew has to believe in Mashiach and wait his arrival. And you have to await his arrival constantly. It's not that you have to await constantly. He's supposed to arrive any second. That's the main thing. And we just have to expect this arrival any second. It's not that it's a commandment just to await him coming. And if he comes, he's going to wreck the mitzvah. Because we have to wait. He's not really supposed to come. We just have to wait for him to come. That's not so. That's ridiculous. It's the opposite. I mean, it makes no sense. If we just, the mitzvah is to wait, so what are we waiting for? You have to be really desirous and impatient that Mashiach should come, and understand that that without Mashiach, the world is really, really in bad shape, and we are also in bad shape. We can be living in Kfar Chabad and have a nice big house, and and all of our children are doing fine and everything like that. But that's so far away from the way the world is supposed to be that we don't even appreciate it. And we have to start appreciating it. That takes a little bit of thought. Haim Parsha is Shavuot. So he says the whole idea of the new world that Mashiach is going to make, this especially can be stressed in this Torah's, the portion of this week, Parshas Nosoi, especially because it comes after the story of the giving of the Torah, the holiday of Shavuot, when we celebrate when the Torah was given. So what can be greater than the giving of the Torah? We learned that God appeared, we learned in the Haftorah that Ezekiel saw all these angels, everything. The angels were awesome and powerful, and like we just finished learning, the angels are nothing compared to God. The angels are like little stones in the street, nothing. And God revealed himself on Mount Sinai. This is amazing. Could there be anything more than that? Says the Rebbe, yes. And it's going to be revealed in the future redemption. In order to appreciate this, says the Rebbe, we can appreciate this a little bit because everything is in the Torah. This week's Torah portion, Noseh. In the beginning of this week's Torah portion, it says, Noseh, Rosh, lift up the head. Rosh, Inyan Limud Torah. The whole thing of the Rosh, it says, elevate the head. That's how this week's Torah portion starts off, right? It means to count. But that's not what it says, though. It says, elevate, lift up the head. What's the head? The head is learning Torah. That's what the head is for. Torah is understanding. Nasa is Rosh, lifting up the head. And Yana is learning Torah from pleasure. Shalamayla mi'amochin, which is above just understanding. There's nothing higher than pleasure. By means of this, Nitvosef El Ilui Gadol Yoser Belimud Torah Rosh. You get a pleasure in learning the Torah. Now, how can you get a pleasure in learning the Torah? There's two ways of getting pleasure for learning the Torah. Maybe you can say three. One is you get pleasure because you enjoy the ideas. It's like a crossword puzzle. Some people really love crossword puzzles. They really love them. They can sit and learn doing crossword puzzles all the time. And then there's more complicated crossword puzzles. Some people like the Torah because of that. You can impress people. You learn the Torah. You can be a big rabbi. You can be very important. Right? You get a lot of honor. You get this. They call on you to speak. When you come in the room, people stand up for you. That's a certain pleasure a person gets from learning the Torah. Right? That's called in a way that's called cheap pleasure. You happen to be an intellectual person, so you have a good memory, and it pays off to learn the Torah. You do it, your father did it, whatever. So you learn the Torah. Okay, I'm not saying not to learn the Torah for this reason, but this is what's called a low pleasure of learning the Torah. The ideal pleasure of learning the Torah is supposed to be that you really think, well, this is really the word of God, and God is creating the world. Like all the things we just finished learning in the Kuti Torah about what God is. This will be learning Torah with pleasure. What does it mean, pleasure? Pleasure means that he's really saying God's words. He's understanding God's ideas. This is really tremendous pleasure. This is not an easy thing to do. It says over there that, what is it, that the Rabbah, right in the beginning of the Tanya, that he learned the Torah, he was so connected to God that the angel of death couldn't kill him. The angel of death couldn't kill him. There were other people like that. It says King David was the same. There were other stories like that. It was so connected to the Creator that there was no way of death. It was like at Mount Sinai. Pleasure, which is above any understanding. By means of this, Nevosef Ilui Gadol, there's a tremendous learning, elevation in his head, in his learning of the Torah. Until what? It comes Chidush Torah. God sends him new ideas. And the main thing is, Shlemus Inyan, this whole idea of new, truly novel ideas in the Torah. That's what it means, elevating the head in the future. That it's going to be a new Torah that's going to come. Why? Because people will be on such a high level and a level of purity, that God will be able to send them new ideas. Tamei Torah, the reasons of the Torah. This is the pleasure of the Torah. That's how the Song of Songs starts off. Yesh Los, if we can add on, it says, Nosed Rosh B'nai Gershon. It says, lift up the heads of B'nai Gershon. It doesn't say all the Jewish people. So how can we say that this Shabbat indicates elevating the head, namely the Torah learning of all the Jewish people? It says only Gershon. Sheshayach l'shevet Levi davka. This is only one of the families of Levi. Hari la'atid lavo. It says in the future, inyan zeh, it's called Bnei Israel. This will be by all of the Jews in the future. When Moshiach, he'll elevate all the Jews to this level. Kabosaktin, like the Rambam says, lo shevet Levi levad. Not only the tribe of Levi alone was devoted to God, or could devote themselves to God, Elakol ish v'ish, any single person, asher nidva libo, that his heart desires, v'evinu mada'o, and evinu da'o, and he directs his mind, lehabadel, v'lamod, to separate himself from everyone else and to stand in front of God and to serve Him, to serve Him and to connect to God, ladat et Hashem, in order to know God, is parach me'al tzavaro ol cheshbono. He removes from his shoulders whatever the spirit. He removes from his shoulders the yoke of anything of this world. Cheshbonos rabim asher bikshu b'nei adam. That people worry about money. Anybody in the world that wants to be like the tribe of Levi, or the tribe of Levi, they didn't work. They didn't have any necessarily jobs. The people had to provide for them. They gave them their miser, and they didn't have a portion in Israel. They had cities where they lived, but they didn't have a portion. He says, why? Because they were devoted to God, and God took care of them. And Rambam says, any person that wants to be like that, this person sanctifies himself and becomes holy of holies. So anybody who wants to do that now, says the Rebbe, Lati love in the future, all the Jewish people will be like that. Like the Rambam says at the end of his book, in that time, the whole entire world will only be to know God alone. How much more so the Jewish people? Therefore, the Jewish people will be wise and knowing secret things, and they will understand godliness. The world will come to the Jews and say, could you explain to me this? Explain what it says here in the Bible. I want to live a better life. This is also found in this week's Torah portion, which is the Torah of the Nazir. Nazir, what's the story of the Nazir? We're going to get to that today, come at 3 o'clock. Today we're going to learn about the Nazir. The Nazir is a Jew, any Jew, a man, a woman, that decides that she wants to be wholly connected to God. This is, they let their hair grow and they don't drink wine. A Nazir is a person that the din in Naziros is stressed the idea of achaka lo b'kol yom shav. The whole idea of the Nazir stresses very much the idea that you're supposed to wait for God. You're supposed to wait for Moshiach constantly. This is really stressed in the laws of the Nazir. How so? Al pi Allah, it says, Omer Hareini Nazir b'yom sheben David bo. A Nazir, it's a vow. It's a vow that a person takes. A person makes a vow. It says nowadays you're not supposed to do it, but if you do it, you have to keep the vow. Because a Nazir, when he finishes his vow, he brings an offering to the temple. And now today there's no temple, so you can never stop being a Nazir. So you shouldn't say you're okay. So nevertheless, it says, stresses the idea of Mashiach. Now, what is a Nazir? A Nazir is a person that he takes a vow, I'm going to be holy to God, I'm not going to drink any more wine, I'm not going to defile myself for a dead body, and let my hair grow. You can take a Nazir, the minimum is for 30 days. We'll learn the laws. But a person like Samson, it says he was a Nazir forever. In any case, a person that just says he's going to be a Nazir, he can't drink wine. So it says, if a person says, I am a Nazir, I take on myself a vow. I am going to be a Nazir from when I turn 60 years old. As soon as he's 60 years old, he has to be a Nazir. What if he says, I'm going to be a Nazir the day when King David comes? The day when, not King David, the Moshiach comes, Ben David. I make a vow. The day that Moshiach comes, I'm going to be a Nazir, right? Even if he comes at the end of the day, I'm going to do it for the beginning of the day. The whole entire day, that's when I'm going to begin a Nazir. So it says, Asher L'olam. Immediately, he's forbidden to drink wine and to defile himself forever. Why? Because Kivan Shekol Yom, because any day, King Ben David can come. Any day, Mashiach can come. However, now, like it says, Hine Zeh Melech HaMashiach Bo, he come. He is here. This whole idea that the Mashiach is going to reveal a new Torah, Nasias Rosh, B'tachlis Shlemos, after Avdamas Parshas Me'inyan Olam, after he elevates, not only the Mashiach will elevate everyone, after they separate from the people, separate themselves from the world. That's a Nazir. As Eino Begetter Atid, it's not a future thing. Mashiach is going to come one day. I'm waiting for his arrival. When will it come? In the future sometime. No, it's supposed to be right now. Torah Chadashim Ite Yotzeit, it comes now. Immediately, says the Rebbe, in 1 second, right? Mashiach, the future redemption has not come. The redemption has not come yet, right now. It's going to come in 1 more second. It'll be that the new Torah came out from me. And we can also point out that this is basically what we're learning right now is the new Torah. The Rebbe himself Mashiach is supposed to be a person we're supposed to really wait for. It has to be a person that has filled certain criterion. We're supposed to know what these criterion are, and we're supposed to impatiently wait for a person like this to come. Well, the Rebbe has all these criteria. And if we're supposed to wait for someone to come, and if we're really serious about it, then there's the Rebbe. Maybe you can go and find somebody else also, which is okay. But you're supposed to be looking. Right? You're supposed to be looking. It's supposed to be very important. And if someone comes that has these criterion, then you have to believe this person is the Mashiach. What difference does it make? Because the Mashiach is going to teach everyone. You have to follow his teachings. Very simple. He's going to be a king and he's going to be a teacher. And he's going to reveal new ideas. As a teacher, he'll reveal new ideas in the world. As a king, he'll gather up all the Jews from all the world. That's what the Chabad houses are doing over the world, waking up Jews. A teacher is going to teach us new ideas, and these are new ideas. I don't think you'll find this anywhere else. This is what we're learning now. Says the Rebbe, that's going to be in the Torah. Everyone will feel the godliness of the Torah. Everyone, all the time. There was one of these missionaries that once said to me, It's a new Torah. We've got the new Torah. I said, no, you don't understand. The new Torah means that it'll be a Torah that people won't be able to do to the Torah what you guys did, to twist it and to pervert it, and to people will see the godliness and the truth of every single word of the Torah. Now the way the Torah is its godliness is concealed inside of it. Your religion is the proof of it. You took the words and twisted them and distorted everything and wrecked everything and just trying to destroy Judaism and saying that this is what the Torah says you have to do. The new Torah means we'll feel godliness in every word of the Torah. We'll feel the holiness in every single letter and every single commandment that we do. Gam, also the world, not only the Torah, but also the world. Hashamayim chadashim va'aretz chadasha, the heavens will be new and the earth will be new. Asher ani oseh, shenasa al yedei chidush of Torah chadashim itetetze, there'll be a new Torah. Meruma is Parshat Nasai. This is hinted at in Parshat Nasai, this week's Torah portion. In the beginning of this Torah portion, how does this hint at a new world? How does it hint at a new world? We'll see. In the beginning, it says, count the B'nai Gershon and B'nai Merari. To see Kama Yeshi Higiu L'Kol Avoda, to see how many of them are, it says from 30 until 50. La'avoda l'masa, to work and to carry. Avodat masa. Namely, they had to take apart the tabernacle, they had to carry it, they had to put it together. Nesias Rios, they had to carry the curtains, they had to carry the boards. At the time when the Jewish people were traveling in the desert. And in the end, it talks about the Shlemut the Mishkan Atzmi. In the end, right, we're going to get to that, I hope we'll learn today also. It tells the sacrifices that the 12 tribes brought from the day that the tabernacle was open, first day of Nisan. Next 12 days, they offered up offerings to initiate the temple. And finally, it says, Vayehi b'yom kalot Moshe lahakim et Mishkan. It says that Moshe finally finished standing the Mishkan up, the completion of the tabernacle. And continuation, the Chanukat HaMizbeach. It says, Zos Chanukat HaMizbeach b'yom Yimeshachato. That was when explaining the inauguration and the initiation of the altar, the Mizbeach. Zos Chanukat HaMizbeach. In other words, the completion of the tabernacle. So first of all, in the beginning of the parsha, it talks about serving God. Gershon and Merari, serving God, carrying the curtains and the boards in the desert. In the end, it talks about the completion of the tabernacle. We can say that that's the whole thing of the completion of the altar. The Parshas Nasa, what's that connected to the idea of counting the Jews? First of all, he counted them, and in the end, it says when the tabernacle was finished. What's the connection between the finishing and the counting? He is al derech ubedugma, like the giving of the Torah. When God gave the Torah, he gave it in the desert. We talked about this before also. The desert is a place where no person can live. Why did God give the Torah over there? Why didn't he take the Jews into Israel and give them the Torah in Israel? In order that the desert itself, that's what we just learned in the Mimer, right? He gave it in the desert, and the Jews walked in the desert in order that the desert itself, which is the lowest place, there can't be anything lower than it, a place of total death, dead. Yehi mishkan u'machon dira l'shivto, will be a place where God can dwell, even in the desert, even the wasteland of this world. Al derech says similarly in our case, that the elevation of the head, namely, we said the completion of the Torah, this will be drawn into the physical world. That's the whole reason that God even told them to make a tabernacle after the Torah was given. Why? So that giving Torah will be a place in this physical world. The Inyan Zeh, this will be the ultimate completion in the future, in the third temple. Mikdash Hashem Konani Yadecha, when God will make the third temple. Sha'az Yidgala Ha'inyan the Bakol Makom Asher Eskirat Shemi. Then, when the third temple is built, then any place where you call my name, God will appear. Like it says in the end of the 10 Commandments, it says, B'kala olam kulo, in the whole world. Namely, that the completion of the third temple, that there will be permission for the third temple will be the Kohanim will be able to say God's Shem Mefurish, the essential name of God, which hands raised. Which this seems to be some sort of a very complicated thing, and it has 42 letters in it. And to tell you the truth, I don't understand. The Rambam says that the Kohanim, they used to take a long time to learn how to say this name of God. In any case, we don't say it now. And when the third temple will be built, they'll say it again. Like it says in our verse, somewhat Shemi. Like it says in our Torah portion, also has the blessing of the Kohanim. They will put my name, that God will be, they will give the power to the Kohanim to bless the people with his explicit name. It'll be in the whole entire world, like we said. God will be one, and his name will be one. Just like I am written, so I will be called. Now God's name is written Yud and then Hey, and what we say Adonai. It says in the future it'll be pronounced like it's written Kivan Shal Olam, because the whole world will be a dwelling for God. This whole idea of a dwelling for God in the world, that the whole world will be like a holy temple. The whole world will be like the Holy of Holies. Godliness will be revealed everywhere, and everyone will be like the high priest. They'll be totally in tune with the truth. Sha'olam nasa dirov atzmosa, the world will become a dwelling for God's essence. And we can't stress too much that God's essence is very dynamic. It is not this big white light that sort of knocks all of your being out, and all you just care about is bliss, and right, and you don't eat for the rest of your life, and that's the ultimate goal. No, it's not so. The ultimate goal is action, doing. God is creating the world. The world is tremendously dynamic, interacting, everything. The laws of physics, that's only the physical world, the spiritual world, what about the subatomic world, this and that, right? There's so much going on all the time. It's so alive. And that's the whole idea of when God is revealed in the world will really become alive. Then everyone will reveal their true potential. A human being will really be human beings. By revealing the power of the essence of God, that's creating everything from nothing to something. There's nothing more dynamic than that, than taking nothing, which is not dynamic at all, and making it into something. The world that'll be revealed in the world. That's what it means, a new heavens and a new earth that I will. The main thing is that I will be revealed. The essence of God will be revealed in this physical world. And tomorrow, God willing, we'll have a class at 3 o'clock today, but tomorrow at 8:15, we'll continue learning this. I don't know if we'll be able to finish it. There's a lot sort of here, goes up to here, and there's a lot of beautiful things to be explained. But we'll learn this tomorrow morning, 8:15. You're all invited. Now we'll learn a Yom Yom. Chabad saying of the day. The world has to have pure air. How does this come? Wherever you go, you say words of Torah. The words of Torah protect a person, protect the world, and especially the person who's saying it. The division of the 6 orders of the Mishnah should be memorized and said when you're walking on the street. The Mishnah, even one Mishnah, when it's repeated by memory, wherever a person goes, no matter what he is, that'll illuminate the bond between the Jews and God. The letters of Mishnah are the same as Neshama. It's very difficult to find words to express the tremendous benefit, with God's help, in general and individual protection that constant repetition of Mishnah will bring. There's no words to describe the tremendous pleasure God gives to God, that we give to God by saying Mishnah wherever we go. Have a good day with Moshiach now. See you all at 3 o'clock. And tomorrow there will be a class at 8:15. Shalom uvracha.